Have you ever spoken the truth, only to have it used as a weapon against you? Do you find yourself after every conversation feeling like you revealed far too much? Do you feel drowned out by louder voices, even when you know they are wrong? This frustration is not a personal failure. It is a symptom of a grand deception. You have been taught that your voice is your power, that communication builds bridges, that transparency is a virtue. This is a trap. It is a sophisticated cage designed to keep you predictable, emotional, and weak. Society rewards the performer. It encourages you to reveal your intentions, your fears, and your strategies, all under the guise of honesty. But in the real game of power, the one played in shadows, this honesty is a neatly packaged death sentence. Every word you speak is a handle for your rivals to grab. Every emotion you show is a string for a puppet master to pull. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this brutal reality. He saw that the world is not a stage for honest expression, it is a battlefield of hidden intentions. On this battlefield, the loudest speaker is simply the first target. The real power belongs to the unreadable player, the one who controls the flow of information, the one who masters silence. In the Machiavellian Playbook, silence is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is an active, calculated, and devastating weapon. It is the void where your opponents reveal themselves. It is the shield that makes you impenetrable. It is the ultimate expression of control. Let us be clear. There is a difference between the amateur's silence and the master's. The amateur is silent out of fear. They are afraid of the consequences of speaking. They are quiet because they have been beaten into submission. The master is silent out of strategy. They are aware of the consequences and use them to their advantage. Their silence is not an empty void. It is a loaded weapon. It is the pause before the strike, the calm assessment of the battlefield, the ultimate demonstration of an unbreakable will. In this video, we reject the script society has handed you. We deconstruct the forbidden laws of silence. This is not a guide to being quiet. This is a masterclass in turning the void into a weapon, transforming you from a predictable pawn into a silent architect of power. If you are ready to stop being a target and become a fortress, type this into the comments. My silence is my weapon. Chapter 1. The Law of the Silent Void. The amateur walks into a room and sees silence as an enemy. They feel an immediate, crushing anxiety from the quietness. To them, a gap in the conversation is not a pause. It is a judgment on their intelligence, their charisma, their worth. They are a performer, and the silence is a sign their performance is failing. And so they talk. They rush to fill that void with trivial observations, weak opinions, or nervous justifications. They mistake activity for power and noise for presence. In their desperate attempt to control the room, they reveal everything, their insecurities, their intentions, their need for approval. The master, the architect, understands that silence is not the enemy, it is the battlefield itself. The master does not fear the void, they create it. They understand that their power is not in what they say, but in their unshakable presence. Their silence is a statement, I am not here to perform for you. You are here to reveal yourself to me. This is the essence of the silent void. The psychology is a masterclass of exploiting human nature. We are programmed to despise a vacuum. An unanswered question or a prolonged pause creates a crushing psychological pressure. The other person's mind begins to race. What are they thinking? Am I in trouble? Did I say the wrong thing? They are desperate to resolve this tension, and in their desperation, they talk. They fold. The power of this law can be seen the most in a high-stakes negotiation. The pawn states their price, and then immediately starts justifying it. I'm asking for 10,000, because, you know, my experience is strong, and the market rate is... They have already lost. They are revealing their insecurity, their need. They are negotiating against themselves before the other side has said a word. The master states their terms, and then they stop talking. They hold the silence. This void becomes a contest of wills. The buyer, unnerved by the master's unreadable composure, will inevitably crack. This goes beyond negotiation. It can also be used when someone asks an invasive or manipulative question. The pawn reacts emotionally. They get defensive, they lie, they over-explain. Why would you ask that? Of course not. They have just validated the question and fallen into the trap. The master simply holds their gaze. They offer only the void. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the question's manipulative intent back at the asker. The question hangs in the air, suddenly sounding crude and desperate. The questioner, not the master, is now the one who is exposed. They will backtrack, they will stammer, they will rephrase, revealing why they really asked. You become a black hole. They project all their fears and assumptions onto you, while you remain a mystery. You gather all the intelligence, and you give none. To affirm your understanding, type this into the comments: my silence is my shield. Chapter 2. The Law of the Muted Threat. The amateur is a validation addict. They operate on the currency of likability, but they are perpetually in debt. They are desperate to be seen as agreeable, supportive, and part of the group. This desperation makes them predictable. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They nod at ideas they know are foolish. They offer instant, gushing praise, handing out their validation for free to anyone who will take it. In doing so, they make their validation and themselves utterly worthless. Their agreement means nothing because it is guaranteed. Their praise is forgettable because it is common. The master understands the truth. Validation is a resource. It is a form of power, as tangible as money or status. And resources are not given away, they are controlled. They are invested. They are weaponized. This is the law of the muted threat. It is the profound power you gain, not by attacking, but by strategically withholding your approval. This addresses a core human need. We are not addicted to the person who always gives us a reward. We are addicted to the person whose reward is unpredictable. The master, by withholding easy validation, creates a scarcity. They make others subconsciously work for their approval. You see this in every room. The pawn is loud. They dominate the conversation, interrupt, and state their opinions as facts. They are terrified of being overlooked, so they try to fill all the space with their own noise. They believe volume equals authority. They are wrong. It is a desperate performance that screams insecurity. The master, the architect, is often the quietest person in the room. They are an unmovable center of gravity. They listen. They observe. Their silence is not empty, it is evaluative. It projects unshakable confidence, signaling that they are not here to perform for the group, they are here to judge the performance. This reserved power makes everyone else lean in, subconsciously competing for that rare, valuable nod of approval. When the master finally does speak, their words land with the weight of a gavel. The same law applies when you are given a compliment. The pawn fumbles. They are so unaccustomed to holding value that they must get rid of it immediately. They get flustered, downplay their own success. Oh, it was nothing, or worse, they immediately rush to return the compliment. This is a low-status move, revealing a needy, submissive mindset that craves equality. The master simply accepts it. They receive the compliment, hold a brief, calculated pause, and give a simple thank you. That is all. The pause is the weapon. The silence that follows absorbs the validation without needing it. It demonstrates that their self-worth is internal and not dependent on outside praise. This small act of reserved silence wordlessly reinforces their higher status. They are not an equal seeking reciprocation. They are the architect accepting tribute. If you are ready to stop giving your power away for free, type this into the comments: I'm the master of my own validation. Chapter 3. The Law of Emotional Disarmament. The pawn is a slave to their own emotions. Their nervous system is an open wire, visible for anyone to touch. They are a puppet, and their emotional reactions are the strings. The master, the architect, has cut these strings. They understand that an emotional reaction is not a show of power, it is a confession of weakness. It is an admission that the other person has successfully breached your defenses and taken control of your internal state. The master has wrapped their nervous system in armor. They are not emotionless, they are post-emotional. They have strategically detached their ego from the outcome. This is the law of emotional disarmament. It is the practice of meeting high chaotic emotion with low to no emotion, using your silence as the ultimate shield. The psychology at play is emotional contagion. Emotions are a fire, they need fuel and oxygen to spread. An angry person needs you to become angry or afraid. A panicking person needs you to join their panic. It validates their reality and fuels their attack. The master refuses to be the fuel. This law has 3 critical applications. First, when you are insulted, the pawn reacts instantly. They defend their honor, trade insults, and become visibly angry or hurt. They have lost. The other person has successfully controlled their emotional state. The master meets an insult with a calm, penetrating silence. They simply look at the attacker, holding their gaze, giving them nothing. This cold, silent response is devastating. It communicates that the insult is so beneath them that it doesn't even register. The attacker is left exposed, their aggression looking pathetic and childish in the face of your unshakable composure. Second, when you are blamed or accused. The pawn panics. They rush to defend themselves. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Here's why. This torrent of words signals guilt and defensiveness, even when they are innocent. The master stays silent. They let the accusation hang in the air, allowing the accuser to reveal their full case. They use the silence to think and aim. Then, instead of an emotional denial, they respond with a cold, logical question. What proof do you have? Or, this seems like a serious accusation. Explain your reasoning. You have shifted the burden of proof back onto them, all while appearing completely in control. Third, when you are being baited, a rival will try to provoke you, especially in public. They will use subtle digs, sarcasm, or misrepresent your words to get an emotional reaction and make you look foolish. The pawn takes the bait. The master recognizes the trap. They offer only silence. They refuse to engage. Your silence starves the drama of oxygen. It makes the person baiting you look desperate and aggressive, while you look like the only adult in the room. In all 3 cases, your silence is not passive. It is an active, offensive weapon. It disarms the attacker and exposes them as the one who is truly out of control. To affirm your understanding of this law, type this into the comments. My composure is my shield. Chapter 4. The Law of the Echo Chamber. The amateur believes a conversation is a duel. Their ego is on the line. They are not listening to understand. They are waiting for their turn to talk. They hunt for a flaw in the other person's argument, not to find truth, but to create an opening for their own brilliant rebuttal. They are desperate to prove they are the smartest person in the room, so they offer solutions. They one-up stories. They hijack the conversation to make it about themselves. They walk away having won the argument, but having learned nothing. They are a broadcaster, not a receiver. The master knows that a conversation is not a duel, it is an interrogation. But it is an interrogation where the subject never realizes they are being questioned. This is the law of the echo chamber. The psychology is disarmingly simple. People are not looking for solutions, they are looking for a mirror. They are drowning in their own chaotic thoughts and are desperate for someone to simply listen, to reflect, and to validate their own feelings. The architect becomes that perfect, silent mirror. This law is most powerful when someone is venting or complaining. The pawn makes the critical mistake of engaging. They offer solutions. You should just quit, or here's what you need to do. This feels like a judgment. It shuts the person down. Or even worse, the pawn hijacks the conversation. You think your boss is bad? Let me tell you about mine. The conversation is now about the pawn. The master, the architect, simply reflects. They use 2 tools, a simple, reflective prompt and an expectant, encouraging silence. When a colleague says, I am finished with this place, I can't stand my boss anymore, the pawn replies with an opinion. The master replies with a reflection, can't stand him. The colleague, invited by the void, goes deeper. Yeah, he's completely unfair. The master reflects again with a simple, unfair. Yes, he gave the new project to Sarah, even though I did all the prep work. I think he's trying to push me out. And there it is. In 2 silent moves, the master has uncovered the true conflict, the person's core fear being pushed out, and a key piece of office political intelligence. Sarah is the new favorite. The master has given up 0 information about themselves. The colleague walks away from the conversation feeling deeply understood, believing the architect is the most brilliant conversationalist they have ever met. But the architect barely said a word. This is how you build an empire of influence. You become a vault. People begin to associate you with the feeling of clarity and relief. They will seek you out to confess their secrets, their plans, and their weaknesses. If you are ready to stop talking and start gathering, type this into the comments. I am the master of my information. Chapter 5. The Law of the Unseen Hand. The amateur is a slave to their own ego. They are addicted to credit. When they have a brilliant idea, their first instinct is to announce it to the world. They call a meeting, stand at the front of the room, and try to persuade everyone with loud speeches and passionate arguments, believing their passion is a sign of leadership. And what happens? They are met with a wall of resistance. Their rivals, driven by envy, pick the idea apart. Others, feeling uninvolved, remain passive. The amateur is left to do all the work alone, and if it fails, they take all the blame. Their ego, which demanded the spotlight, becomes the very target for their ruin. The architect, the master, has sacrificed their ego to achieve total control. They are not interested in credit, they are interested in outcomes. They have no need for the spotlight because they are the one aiming it. They do not want to win the argument, they want to design the result. This is the law of the unseen hand. True power is not forcing your will onto others. It is structuring reality so that others enact your will, all while believing it was their idea. The psychological principle is the IKEA effect. People place a disproportionately high value on things they believe they built, but it goes deeper. When an idea becomes theirs, their ego becomes attached to it. They will defend it to the death, not because the idea is good, but because an attack on the idea is now a personal attack on them. The architect does not fight this human flaw, they use it. The master never proposes their own idea in public. They operate in the shadows, using silence and strategic whispers. If an architect wants to change a team's strategy, they don't send a memo. They go to an influential team member for advice, or they casually drop a seed into the gossip stream. I was just thinking, the architect whispers. I'm probably wrong, but what would happen if we focused on X instead of Y? Just a thought. Don't tell anyone. Telling someone don't tell anyone is the fastest way to ensure they do. The idea, now disguised as a secret, spreads. The architect remains silent. A week later, in a team meeting, that influential person will raise their hand and say, I had an idea. What if we shifted our focus to X instead of Y? The pawn, hearing their idea stolen, would scream, that was my idea. The architect simply smiles from the back of the room and says, that is a brilliant solution. I fully support it. The team now champions the idea as their own. They are motivated. They are invested. The architect guides the execution from the shadows, ensuring its success. When it wins, they let the others take the credit. Because they know the truth, the team may have won the battle, but the architect, the unseen hand, won the war long before it ever began. They got the outcome, and they never made a single enemy. This is the ultimate victory, sacrificing your ego to gain total control. If you are ready to stop chasing credit and start designing outcomes, type this into the comments, I trade ego for control. You've just been given the 5 forbidden laws of strategic silence, the law of the silent void, which turns your opponent's anxiety into your leverage, the law of the muted threat, which transforms your validation into a currency of power, the law of emotional disarmament, which builds an unshakable fortress around your mind, the law of the echo chamber, which turns you into a silent gatherer of secrets, and the law of the unseen hand, which allows you to sacrifice your ego for total invisible control. The world is divided between those who talk and those who control. The path of the pawn, the one society gave you, is the path of the talker. It is the path of the open book, and it guarantees you will be outmaneuvered. It leaves you feeling enraged and confused, wondering why your honesty is punished and your transparency is exploited. The architect walks the path of control. This path accepts the brutal reality of the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. The architect remains silent, not out of weakness, but as the ultimate expression of strategic power. They trade momentary recognition for permanent, unseen influence. The pawn reacts to the game. The architect is the game board itself, calmly waiting for the other pieces to reveal their moves. Society has programmed you to be a performer. Today you have been given the tools to become an architect. Stop being a performer. Stop being an open book. Become the void. Become the architect. If this video has opened your eyes to the power of the unseen, hit that like button. Share this video with one person who still talks too much, trapped by the need to be heard. And subscribe for more dark, forbidden strategies that society never wanted you to find. Finally, drop this last affirmation in the comments to seal your new identity. I am the unseen hand that shapes reality.